It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowd. It's the size of the school. Their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey! Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hello, Long Island, New York, and around the world. This is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. You can call us at 631-965-4990. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have it already, well, God damn it, you better download it. All you have to do is go to iOS or Apple. You go to WWSRN or you go to Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, or download every single topic and story that we talk about on our app. Or you could do this, ladies and gentlemen, and I tell this to you guys all the time. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. What's going on, Speedy?
Same old for me today, unfortunately. Just a lot of work. And looking forward to these interviews, though. Got to give them...
Well, we have a great show lined up for you. And by the way, we have a special guest in the studio right now. We have Mr. Mark Kelly. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. We always love to have you on, and we love to make fun of Speedy, so we'll do a lot of that.
I just love the conversations that they have before that nobody really hears about. That.
Well,
maybe you should release them.
Well, I don't know about releasing them, because if I release it, I think a lot of people will get a little scared of a little bit of Speedy Petey and the sourceful craziness of Speedy, right, Speedy?
Sorceral craziness?
No, sourcefulness. Oh. Sourcefulness. You didn't hear me. You're lost. It's okay, man. And we see Scotty Bowman behind. So there we go. Stevie I and the Detroit Pistons. But we have a great show.
Pistons.
I mean Detroit Red Wings. I'm sorry. We have a great show lined up for you guys as well. At 6:30, we will be talking to New York Rangers forward prospect Justin Richards, and at 7:15, we'll be talking to Army tight end recruit Cade Anders. So we have a great show. We have a lot of great guests. But before we do that, I do want to get into this particular subject, and that would be hockey. How many radio shows get into hockey? The first subject, the first segment of the show, they talk hockey. Well, in New York, I'm sorry, there is not too many people and not too many shows that do that. But I have been very, very impressed with the New York Islanders. They have been so impressive. Not only the goaltending, Varlamov has been as good as we couldn't expect. I thought they brought Varlamov in to help with Sorokin because everybody thought Sorokin was going to come over from Russia after this year because his contract is up with the KHL, and he did sign with the Islanders, but because of the rules, the NHL rules, that if you're playing overseas and before the trade deadline and you're not brought to the team, you're not signed by the team before the trade deadline, if you make the playoffs, you cannot play in the playoffs. So Sorokin is not playing in the playoffs. But Varlamov has been as good as anybody could expect. I've been very, very impressed. Back-to-back shutouts for Varlamov. The last Islander goaltender to do that in the playoffs is Billy Smith, was the last goaltender to do that. And you're talking about in the 80s. So it's been over 40 years, 30 years, 35 years since we've seen an Islander goalie have back-to-back shutouts in a playoff series, in the semifinals.
No one's done it. Smith just has a record for most consecutive scoreless minutes.
Yeah, well, that's 2 games.
No, but one of them was overtime, so it's not figured that way. But Varlamov was the first, just even more impressive, Varlamov was the first goaltender to ever do it.
Well,
he's been outstanding.
Well, he's been he's been outstanding, and the New York Islanders' defense has been outstanding as well. When you look at Pelech right now, ever since Pelech has come back. Now, if you remember, before the trade deadline, Pelech got hurt. He tore he ripped his Achilles. So a lot of people thought his season was over, but because of COVID-19, he's had a little bit of time. I don't think he teared his Achilles because then he wouldn't be playing this season. But I think he teared a little piece, or he pulled it, or whatever the heck he did. Pelech is now back, and you see the difference of what this defense could be with Pelech going on the first line defense with Pulock. And right now, what you see what the Islanders are doing right now is they're completely shutting down top offensive teams. Last night against Philadelphia, who has been explosive throughout the playoffs that we've seen so far. Philadelphia won the number 1 seed. It was no surprise that it was a surprise that Philadelphia Flyers won the number 1 seed, but it's no surprise that they're in the semifinals of what they've done offensively and defensively in goaltending. But their goaltender did not have one of his top games yesterday, especially in the third period, when the Islanders went crazy against him, scored 2 goals against him, and then had an empty net goal, which practically seized the deal or closed the deal for the Philadelphia Flyers in the first game of the semifinals. But what I am so surprised about is the Islanders' goal scoring. It has been very impressive. When you go, you're watching what Barzal could be, even with this offense, and really they depend a lot on the forwards to play defense. So you're not going to see, unless you have a high-powered Ovechkin or somebody of that magnitude, you're not going to see a guy that's going to score 40 goals in this kind of defense, in this kind of offense. It's just not a Barry Trotz type of game. But what you have seen right now in Barzal, Bolivier, what you've seen so far, even in Brock Nelson, and what they've done on all their lines, even their fourth line, the way they're playing and the forechecking the Islanders are playing at the top level. The Islanders have been the best defensive team in the playoffs. You see why. I tell everybody, and this is no lies to all the Ranger fans, if you don't have defense, you're not going to win championships. I don't know why everybody thinks I'm crazy. And Mikey C, who thinks he knows everything about hockey, and I'm taking a shot at Mikey C, because Mikey C told me straight up that the Rangers have more talent than the Islanders. And I said, how do you figure they have more talent when the Islanders are the better team? Well, team hockey is different from talent. No, it's not. You need talent to be a good team. So when you look at their defense, the Rangers don't have defensive players of that magnitude what the Islanders have. They just don't. They don't have a Pelech. They don't have a Pulock. They don't have anybody. When you're depending on a rookie in Fox, Adam Fox, to do everything defensively, and then you have all old-timers running around and skating around on the ice with their tail between their legs, that's not defense.
Yes, Mark Stahl, we're looking at you.
I'm talking about where the Rangers are at right now, and all we hear about is who they're going to re-sign. Are they going to re-sign D'Angelo? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? And really what the Rangers should be doing is thinking about what they're going to do with that first pick. Should they make that pick, or do they trade down and get a top defenseman and maybe get the best defenseman in a draft? That would make more sense for the Rangers in the future. But knowing the Rangers in that organization, they're not going to do that. They're going to go with the Lafreniere guy. What's his name?
Alexis Lafreniere.
Lafreniere, and they're going to go with him. And I think they're going to make a big mistake. I don't care how good Alexis Lafreniere is offensively. The problem is it's not the offense that the Rangers have problems with. Even in the playoffs, they don't score goals. Even their top guys, Panarin, Zibanejad, they just couldn't put the puck in the net.
That's always been a problem. Even when they had the defense, they didn't have the offense. Now they have the offense without the defense.
You look at the Islanders right now, and I'm not taking a shot at the Ranger fans, even though I really want to. I'm not taking shots. I'm not taking shots at the Ranger fans, and I'm not taking shots at the Rangers organization. But when you have guys, a.k.a. Mike the Beeve, calling up the show and telling me that the Rangers have a better chance of winning a championship in the next 5 years than the Islanders, I don't know what he's smoking, but the Islanders have an opportunity this year to win a Stanley Cup. So this is, and I'll tell you this right now, if the Islanders get into the Stanley Cup Finals, I'm going to be very upset because I could have went to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I could have. I was invited to be over there for our network, and I decided not to go because of COVID-19. And, of course, the year that I decided not to go, the Islanders are going to make a run all the way to the Stanley Cup and possibly win it with this team. And Barry Trotz, if somehow the Islanders get to the Stanley Cup Finals, not only is Barry Trotz one of the great coaches we've seen in a very long time, he could go down as one of the greatest Islander coaches of all time, right behind Al Arbor. who has won 4 Stanley Cups with the New York Islanders organization.
Well, he's already very close. If not, he's in the top 5 of all-time wins, Barry Trotz. So that ends up helping that case as a whole. It was mainly for a while he just needed the cup. Now he had the cup with the Capitals and has a chance to do it with a probably lesser talented team than what he had with the Capitals.
I wouldn't say lesser
than what he had with the Capitals.
I think the Capitals had a better offensive team, but I think defensively, I think this is a better all-around defensive team. The Islanders have a better all-around defensive team. Now, goaltending, no. Holtby, at the time, Holtby was one of the great goaltenders in the NHL. But Varlamov is playing as good as any goaltender in the playoffs. Go look at his numbers. Go match out all the numbers of the goaltenders right now in the playoffs. Besides Lerner, who is an ex-Islander, he has outplayed every single goaltender in the playoffs. So, to me, as much as you took shots, and I took shots of Varlamov when I watched him play against the Rangers at Nassau Coliseum, right against the glass, and I thought Varlamov sucked. Maybe the time off really helped Varlamov, giving him a little bit of a breather, a little bit more confidence, and I guess he figured something out because Varlamov is playing at the top of his game. We have never seen Varlamov play at the top of his game, even though I would say about 4 or 5 years ago, he's one of the top 5, top 6 goaltenders in the NHL.
But he was bad in the playoffs then, too, so he turned that thing around as well. Remember, Colorado, his first year when they broke out, they won the division, and then Varlamov struggled in that series. They lost to Minnesota, and then I think the year after they were a lower seed, and he was really bad. It's
been very impressive. It really has, and the New York Islanders deserve a lot of credit because when you look at the team and you look at all the talent in this playoff still, you look at Philadelphia. Who's more talent all around, the Philadelphia Flyers or the New York Islanders? I would say the Philadelphia Flyers. When you look at the teams like Boston, who's more talented, Boston or the Islanders? You would say Boston. All these
Tampa
teams,
definitely is.
And Tampa too. All the teams right now in the playoffs are more talented than the Islanders, but the Islanders are a team. They play team hockey. And when you play team hockey, no matter how much talent you have, if you can get into the dance, you can go far into the playoffs. And if a team makes a mistake or a team falls into this scoring drought, the Islanders could win, and you see what they did against Philadelphia. They shut down the Philadelphia Flyers. The Philadelphia Flyers were doing the shutouts. They were doing the shutouts the last round. Their goaltender had back-to-back shutouts in the last round, in the first round of the playoffs. And you saw what he was doing. Now all of a sudden they bump into the Islanders, a hot Islander team that, let's be honest, it was the smartest thing in the world that the Islanders didn't sweep. They did not sweep in the first round. Because to me, what we saw with the Hurricanes last year after sweeping the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Islanders completely got dominated. And I wanted to see the Islanders figure things out. And I think Barry Trotz has figured things out with this team. I think he understands what they need to do, how they need a forecheck against this team. This isn't the Capitals now. This is the Philadelphia Flyers. And I thought the Islanders matched up better against this team than the Boston Bruins or the Tampa Bay Lightning. And they're going to have to play one of the other teams going into the next round if the Islanders get through with Philadelphia. But I think with the confidence level, the way they're playing, Anders Lee is putting the puck in the net, which is a good sign. Barzell's making these crazy passes. Bolivier, and how about Pajot? I mean, Pajot has been phenomenal since the Islanders made that move, make that trade. They give up their first-round draft pick this year and their third-round draft pick to get Pajot. And Pajot he's impressed. He hasn't really done anything wrong since he's come to the Islanders. He has 5 goals right now. He's got over 12 points right now in the playoffs, and he has an opportunity right now, being that he's one of the best face-off men in the NHL, to lead this team to a possible Eastern Conference championship, where we haven't seen the Islanders play in an Eastern Conference championship in over 30 years. It's remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable if somehow Barry Trotz and his team gets into the Eastern Conference Finals, being that nobody would have thought that the Islanders would be here in the semifinals. 1-0, 4-0 in the first game. Mark, you're an Islander fan. What are your thoughts to what the Islanders are doing right now? Are you surprised the way Barry Trotz's team is playing?
I'm not surprised because of the way they played to start the season, so I thought they would pretty much pick up on that same thing with having all this time off. They usually play better when they come out like that because they've been rested and they had Pelech back, and I think a lot of that was why they've been successful at first. But the big difference with why they're dominating teams is because they're outplaying them 5-on-5. They're not even close. I mean, they've only allowed 6 goals. They've scored 21. Their plus 15 point goal differential is the best among the NHL teams in the playoffs, and the only one even close to them is Vegas at plus 11. So 5-on-5, they've dominated. Only 2 for 23 on the power play since the Capitals series.
They're not
started.
a good power play team.
No, and they've never been. But the system, like you said, is designed to put a lot of pressure on the other team and to make them make mistakes and to frustrate them. The Islanders always block a lot of shots. They always get a lot of hits, and they just torture teams. And I think that's really worked well for it, like it did earlier in the season when they had a 17-game unbeaten streak. It's working well now. So any matchup problems they might have isn't as bad. Plus, the Islanders have 4 really good lines, and that's really strengthened since Pajot and Brassard and Johnston on the third line, because they got a great fourth line. And the second line, too, with Bailey's had a great postseason. Bavillier's had a great postseason. Guys that they've needed to step up have. And
they got a lot of leaders on this team. And that's the difference right now. The leadership of this team, bringing Pajot and bringing out the defenseman from the Devils. Who was that guy?
Andy Green.
Green, who's been impressive, too. A leader. He was the captain of the Devils before he got traded to the Islanders. A lot of Islander fans were wondering why they brought Green, especially with Dobson and all the young players that they have right now, Bodie Wild right now in the farm system. Why would they bring Green? Now you're seeing it in the playoffs, the background that he has, getting into the players with the Devils. He's been in the Eastern Conference Championship with the Devils. He was also in the Stanley Cup Finals with the Devils. He understands what it takes to win. And Barry Trotz likes these old defensemen. You saw what he's doing. You see what he's doing. He's got 3 veteran defensemen on this team and a bunch of young guys trying to figure things out. Pelech and Pulik, they're all young. Pelech is 25, 26. Pulik is 25, 26. This is a young defense, and they're starting to figure out who they are, their identity. And to me, it's just so impressive. You know who's also been very impressive? The Dallas Stars have been very impressive.
Did Patrick text you again?
Yes, he did. And he's been very impressed with the Islanders. By the way, he texted me yesterday telling me, wow, the Islanders look really, really good. And I said, they look better than the Dallas Stars. He says, I don't know about that. They're in the Western Conference.
If they play in the Stanley Cup, this is going to be interesting in terms of your texting
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? The Dallas Stars versus the New York Islanders in the Stanley Cup Finals.
The rematch at 81. Yeah. I mean, 5 straight games they won.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what these two Cinderella teams that shouldn't be here. Dallas should not walk past Calgary. They're right now up 1-0 against Colorado.
2-0. They won yesterday.
2-0. I'm sorry, 2-0. They won yesterday. I'm sorry. 2-0. And Dallas has a chance now to get to the Western Conference Finals, and anything could happen. With the NHL, anything could happen. And I told you about Colorado. As good as Colorado is on paper, the speed that they have, they're a young team. And their defense is still skeptical. I just don't trust their defense, their young defense, in games like this. Dallas is a veteran team. They are, with Ben and the players that they have. This is still a veteran team that has done this before. They haven't gone far into the playoffs with this team and this roster, right. But the coaching has been phenomenal. Their goaltending has been phenomenal.
Pavelski.
Yeah.
Pavelski's got as many goals as McKinnon.
Oh, Pavelski's a sensational. That's a Hall of Famer. Pavelski is a Hall of Famer. The guy, how many 50-goal seasons has he had over the years? I mean, this guy's going to have over 500 goals. He's going to be one of very few Americans that have had over 500 goals in his career. And I remember when Pavelski got drafted. I remember when he was drafted. He's been on a couple of teams. He was with San Jose last year. Remember when he got hurt in the playoffs and how San Jose played, and they came back from that, and they won that series, I think. They won
against Vegas, yeah.
Yes, they knocked off Vegas, and Pavelski has the background and he has the leadership. He's been the captain before. He understands what it is to lead. And you see with Dallas has a lot of leadership on that team. So
they have a lot of older guys that you forgot are there. They also brought in 2 guys from Anaheim, and Corey Perry and Andrew Cogliano, veteran leadership for a team that's always in the playoffs.
I forgot about
too.
Corey Perry.
Yeah.
Great goal scorer, too.
He has had his issues playing-wise at the playoffs, and he's committed a lot of penalties, but he's definitely there as a locker room presence to help out those young players.
Yeah, he doesn't have any 50-goal seasons, but he's got 10, 20-goal seasons.
Who? Pavelski? Pavelski doesn't have a 50-goal season? No, I thought he did.
His most is 41. But he's consistent. 10 straight
How many
years,
goals does he have?
355.
So I think Pavelski, how old is I think he's 36, right?
369.
So
it's 355.
So how old is he? 36?
He's 36, yeah.
So I think Pavelski will probably play another couple of years. I don't know if he'll have 500 goals, but he's a borderline Hall of Famer. If you look at the numbers, American goal scorers, Keith Tkachuk, Mike Modano. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not many of them. Brett Hull, if you want to put him as a Canadian-American.
Who's it? Joey, who's the guy who has the most? Joey?
Mike Modano has the most.
No, Modano has the most.
Modano has the most goals in American history. And then it would be Keith Tkachuk. Keith Tkachuk is 20 goals less than Mike Modano. I showed you that.
Yeah, you did.
And,
was it 526 and 506?
Yeah, Keith Tkachuk was a great player. Just an asshole. Excuse my language. But he was. Keith Tkachuk wasn't a nice guy. I met Keith Tkachuk when the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup. He wasn't a very nice guy on the ice. He really wasn't.
I'm thinking of Joey Mullen.
There you go. But, it's crazy. I love the NHL playoffs. Nothing has been more exciting and more fun to watch than the NHL playoffs. As far as the NBA is concerned, we'll get into that a little bit later. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to not 2020. I have Speedy. You were supposed to cross this out. We will be talking.
I did a square for you.
We will be talking to New York Rangers forward prospect Justin Richards here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Remember, you can call us at 631-965-4990. And remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app, ladies and gentlemen. iOS, Apple, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Wow. A lot of hockey today. Speedy. Mm-hmm. As we move forward with the NHL playoffs, I'm very excited. We accidentally thought we lost this guy, and we had a hurricane over here. We lost electric for 24 to 48 hours, so we couldn't interview this guy. And I was very surprised. Jillian actually told me she reached out to this particular kid, and I read a little bit about him, and I'm excited. I am very excited. I'm always at the NHL draft. I'm always at these NHL. I was at the NHL playoffs last year. I was at the Stanley Cup Finals. I was on the ice when the St. Louis Blues hoisted the cup, which was something that you can only experience when you're there. And I was very excited to be there. But we are now talking to New York Rangers forward prospect Justin Richards. What's going on, Justin?
Not a whole lot. How are you guys?
We are good, my friend. You know what it is with this pandemic, with everything that's going on, I'll tell you this. Being that we're here in New York and all the craziness that's happened this year, I can't wait until this year is over, completely over. Summer's almost over. I'm so happy that the winter's starting, and you should be happy because as soon as hockey is over in October, it begins in December.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. That's the good thing about it. I mean, obviously, with hockey starting up again over the summer, there's nothing better than playoff hockey. So obviously I want that to last as long as possible. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we get a couple Game 7s here. But yeah, definitely looking forward to November, December, whenever the next season's going to start.
Well, I know you're with the Rangers, okay? So are you surprised that the Islanders are playing as well as they are? And how about Barry Trotz's defense? It's been absolutely incredible what the Islanders have been doing. Now that they're in the semifinals, they knocked off the Philadelphia Flyers last night 4-0. And I am so surprised that Varlamov is playing as well as he is. Are you surprised about the Islanders right now?
Yeah, I am definitely pretty surprised about the Islanders. I mean, I know Barry Trotz is a very great coach. He's had a lot of success throughout his whole coaching career. I mean, he won a Stanley Cup a couple years ago with Washington. But yeah, no, the Islanders are playing very well as a group. I've been hearing just things like how much fun they're having off the ice and in the bubble. Sorry.
Well, it is a bumble. It is a bumble. Bumblebee honey, man. Bumblebee honey.
They're making the most of it, and I think they're having the most fun right now. And we've been seeing that with the success that they've been
Come
having.
on, Justin. Don't you want to play for Barry Trotz and the Islanders instead of those JD, David Quinn, and the New York Rangers? Come on, man. Just admit it. You should. Don't you wish you were an Islander?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I mean, I'm
just
extremely
kidding with
honored.
you. I'm just kidding with
yeah.
you.
I'm extremely honored to be a Ranger. So
of course you are. You're playing in Madison Square Garden. You get to play in the world's most famous arena, and you get to hear all those crazy Ranger fans saying the Islanders stink. Yes, I know. You love it. You love the smile. I love it too. As much as I can't stand the Ranger fans, and I can't stand the way Ranger fans treat the Islander fans. But nevertheless, we're here. We're talking to you. As you guys know, we are talking to New York Rangers forward prospect Justin Richards. Now, Justin, what was it like when you got that phone call from the New York Rangers that they were going to sign you? Were you surprised? Were you excited? Where were you at the time that the Rangers reached out to you and said that they were going to sign you to be a new player for the New York Rangers organization?
Yeah, well, I was down. It was about a week after the season ended, after we found out the season ended because of COVID. So that was March 20th, probably March 20-something. And I was in Naples, Florida, because that was when the quarantine had just begun. And the Rangers reached out to me, Jeff Gordon, David Quinn, so they just reached out and they said that they had some interest in me, and just kind of gave me what it would be like to be a Ranger and kind of the numbers and things like that. So I had a lot of conversations with my agent and those guys. And I was just extremely honored to be someone that they were considering having joined their organization. So I was extremely excited and extremely happy.
Both with the current roster and the farm system for the New York Rangers, which players in both of those are you most looking forward to playing with, and why?
On the Rangers, Mika Zibanejad. He's a guy who's been very successful throughout the past few years with the Rangers, and he's off the ice. He's a DJ, so I think picking up a few of those things would be kind of cool.
I didn't know he was a DJ. I'm a DJ too. I didn't know Zibanejad was a DJ. That's interesting. That's interesting. I might have to reach out to Zibanejad because I'm a pretty well-known DJ out here too. So maybe we can mix a little bit. That's something new. I didn't know that. Thank you, Justin.
So, him, obviously Henrik Lundqvist too. He's had a great career, and to be able to see how he is on and off the ice firsthand would be something I could definitely use, and as I go into my professional career here.
What are you most looking forward to about the city of New York as a whole? If you've never been there, if you have, obviously you might have experienced it. Also, Madison Square Garden, which Errol was mentioning earlier, is the most famous arena. What are you most looking forward to with playing in those circumstances?
Obviously New York was a part of the decision. New York City, I don't know. It's one of the greatest cities in the world. Being a kid who's grown up kind of all over the country, I've lived in kind of mid-sized cities, I'd say. So, living in one of the biggest cities in the U.S. and on the earth, honestly, is definitely was in consideration with my decision. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Obviously, Madison Square Garden is a very, very prestigious facility, a lot of history in the building, and I'm definitely looking forward to that too.
Hey, Justin, it's Mark Kelly. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good, Justin. I was looking at some numbers earlier today. I'm wondering why scoring has come down so drastically that it had even in the 90s. And you look at like the 92-93 season when Teemu Selanne was a rookie, scored 76 goals. Alexander Ogilvy scored 76 goals. They had 21 guys with 100 points, 14 guys with 50 goals, and 4 guys with 60 goals. And then you look at the last couple of years, 2014, 2015, you had no guys with 100 points. 2016, 17, you had 1 guy with 100 points, no 50-goal scorer. Why do you think the scoring has gone down so drastically?
If I ever were to watch one of those games from the 90s, the first thing I notice is, the goalie's equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be one thing, but also the players' sticks that they were using, it wasn't the same technology that we have today. So that kind of cancels each other out. But I also think that the league and hockey players all over the world have just come on the same level now. In the 90s, we had Gretzky, Messier, like all those greats. And I feel like they were just so much better than the other guys in the league. And now, everyone can play. Everyone can play at that level. And obviously there's still guys that stand out more than others, but I think that's the reason why, we don't have these types of stats anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was also looking at the size of goalies. Like your average goaltender, like John Van Beesbrook in the 80s was a 5'8". Now you have guys, even, Roy was over 6 foot, Brodeur was over 6 foot. Guys, that are 6'3", 6'4", Mike Dunham. All these guys are bigger guys, bigger physical guys, 200-something pounds. And I think that has a lot to do. You're right, because I've heard that about the equipment, too, especially goalie pads and stuff where they've had to mark them down and make them, cut down to a specific size. But here's a question I want to ask you. So you mentioned about guys scoring all that, Gretzky and those guys. When do you think the last guy to score 60 goals was?
What year?
Yeah, or what year? Who was it?
I'm gonna guess 2001.
Right. Steve Stamkos, 2011, 2012 scored 60 goals.
Oh, okay.
You would have thought Ovechkin did it one of the last couple of years because
Yeah.
he's the most dynamic goal scorer.
He's been the most dynamic goal scorer really since Timo Solani.
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive when you look at somebody like Ovechkin and what he has really done. I don't care there's so many stories coming out from Russia that Ovechkin's been on steroids, and I don't want to hear that, because to me,
Their other Olympic athletes did it.
that's fine. But what I've seen Ovechkin do, we're probably never going to see again. 10 years consecutive 50-goal scorer.
Mm-hmm.
How many guys have done that? Maybe 3 players in history in the NHL has ever done that. I don't care what he was doing. He could shoot up in his ass. He could shoot up in his legs. It doesn't matter. Scoring 50 goals in a season is not easy. Steroids or no steroids,
Especially
it's
now.
not easy.
Especially now.
But as you guys know, we are talking to New York Rangers forward prospect Justin Richards. Now, Justin, when you look at the speed of the game, and we talk about Barzal and Connor McDavid and all these great speedy guys, and hockey has really transitioned. We were just talking about the 90s, and you're a young kid, so you probably never really got the chance to see some of the dynamic players in the 90s. You're talking about Mike Gardner was a 500 score over 600 goals. Guys like Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier at the top of their careers, you were too young to see these guys play. When you look at the speed of the game with the Connor McDavids, the Barzals, the Sidney Crosbys, the guys that have dominated in the last 10 to 15 years, are you surprised that the speed of the game has gotten faster? Or are you surprised that the game has just gotten the players have gotten more athletic in the game of hockey?
I think as time goes on, everyone's just going to keep getting better. Obviously, we've seen McDavid and everything he does on a nightly basis.
It's crazy what he does, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and like the guy I used to watch growing up was Sidney Crosby, and the stuff
Played
he
against
did.
him. I played against him. I was a pretty big hockey player growing up before I hurt my knee. I was a top prospect. I played for Team USA junior hockey. I played a long time, almost 16 years of competitive ice hockey, and I know what it takes to be at the top of your game, but I've seen myself fall, and fall flat on my face because of ego. And that's the problem with this game. And I've watched a lot of Sidney Crosby as an ego. Even when he was 13 and 12 years old, when I played him, and he was playing against kids that were 4 or 5 years older than him. And they were writing stories in Canada, in Toronto and Edmonton about this kid, the next big thing, the next Gretzky. And he hasn't, he has proved everybody, he's proved to everybody, not only in Canada, but in the United States, he's one of the greatest hockey players that we've ever seen. But are you surprised when you look at the game? And I was watching something on Netflix. I was watching the Enforcer documentary. Mm-hmm. And what really impressed me about the documentary wasn't the fact on the way the NHL has changed and transitioned from then to today, but now hockey is trying to take away fighting. Hockey's trying to take away the aggressiveness and trying to make the game a little bit more athletic, more faster, more goal scoring. Are you surprised when you watch these documentaries that what the NHL was in those days and how it's transitioned to these days? Are you surprised about that?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm very surprised. I am someone who does like the old school, like fighting and enforcers and players like that. But I wouldn't say I'm surprised. It's kind of, the transition's been there for, I mean, I'd say about like 10 to 15 years now. As the enforcers have slowly been leaving the game and, more faster, smaller, skill guys have been entering the league. So, I mean, with my dad, being who he is, I've been around, many professional hockey, locker rooms. So, I've seen, many different players come and go, and I've also like the players that come in, they're all like that skill type of player. So I'm actually not too surprised at all.
Speaking about your dad, why don't you tell a little bit about your father? I don't know if the fans know who your father is. Why don't you tell your father played in the NHL, and your father has a tremendous background in the NHL and what he's done not only for hockey but the sport growing in the early 2000s. Why don't you tell the fans a little bit about your father?
Yeah, so right now he's an assistant coach with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Prior to that, he was with the Columbus Blue Jackets as a head coach for, I think, 5 years. And then before that, he was with the Minnesota Wild as head coach for 2 years. And then before that, that was his first year. His first year of NHL coaching as an assistant was with the San Jose Sharks.
Mm-hmm. And I actually met your father. So I didn't know it was your father. I didn't know it was your father until you mentioned your father. And then I did a little research on him. But yeah, I met your father a couple of years ago. So,
Where?
I met him at an event. It wasn't in New York. I think it was in New Jersey, and he was there. He was at the event. There was a bunch of coaches at the event, NHL coaches, assistant coaches, and he was there. And I actually had a good conversation. I was at the same table as him, and I was talking to a bunch of NHL coaches, and it was just so surreal. Your father was probably the nicest person at the table. So, I mean, a lot of these coaches, I've been to the drafts. I've interviewed a bunch of these coaches. I actually had the opportunity 2 years ago to interview Scotty Bowman. And Scotty was a very nice guy, but Scotty he believes in old-time hockey. And really conversating with who he is as a person and what he has transitioned. He transitioned the game of hockey coaching. Now you see all these GMs like Stevie Yzerman. You see the transition of what he tried to build with Tampa, and now he's in Detroit, what he's trying to do right now and re-up what Detroit was in the 90s and the early 2000s. So one more question for me, and before these guys ask away on the questions. When you look at your game, what is the game? What is your game? What stands out in your game? Is it your speed? Is your hands? What stands out when people watch you? When the Rangers were scouting you, what stood out to them on why they brought you to the New York Rangers organization?
I mean, for me personally, I think that my biggest asset to my game is my 200-foot. My ability to play a 200-foot game. Being out there taking important face-offs in the defensive zone or offensive zone, wherever it is on the ice, just being a penalty killer, making sure I'm taking care of the defensive zone first, and then going on offense. And I still feel like I do have an offensive ability, but I definitely need to improve on that. If I ever were to play in the NHL. And then skating, I am able to get around the ice pretty well, I'd say. There's definitely room for improvement, like there always will be. But I think the biggest thing for me is my 200-foot game.
So shifting now to your college hockey career, you actually won 2 national championships at Minnesota Duluth. So talk about those experiences, and if there was something that made one championship more unique than the other.
Yeah, definitely. So I was going in as a freshman, I remember. I wasn't even supposed to be going in that year. I was supposed to go back to Lincoln in the USHL for my second year. But then Adam Johnson a center with Minnesota Duluth, signed with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And so it opened up a spot for me. And I remember my assistant coach at the time, Brett Larson, he called me up and was like, hey, there's a pretty good opportunity for you to come in and play. And, it's up to you. They didn't pressure me at all. But I had some conversations with my parents, and overall I felt that the best thing for me to do was to go into college that year. And we had a very, very bad start to the year. At Christmas, we were probably, I think we were in last in our conference at Christmas. I think we were like 1-7, 1-8 maybe in conference. So that wasn't great. But, after Christmas came, we hit a switch and we just took off and didn't look back. We got into the first national championship was definitely more unique than the second one, just because we got in by, I think it was either 100th or 1,000th of a point into the tournament over the Minnesota Gophers, who are our rival, obviously. So that felt pretty good. And then, we just kept going. We were taking it game by game, and the Frozen Four was in St. Paul, so that made it a lot more special too. I still remember the whole crowd at the national anthem against Notre Dame in the finals. The whole crowd was just cheering like UMD, and so it was, as a freshman, with a team that wasn't even supposed to be there. Really, it was supposed to be a rebuild year, but as a freshman, we all gained a ton of experience out of that, and I wouldn't trade that for the world.
So, Justin, coming from a hockey family, okay, so certain rites of passages, how old were you when you first saw Slapshot, and what's your favorite line from the movie?
I actually haven't seen Slapshot.
Oh, come on. You got to be kidding me.
I'm sorry.
Oh, boy. That is like
Justin, I'm gonna have to help you that. I might have to send you the movie. I might have to get your address, and I will send you the DVD. I'm gonna buy you the DVD, and I'm gonna send you the DVD so you have it. So, because once you watch that movie, it will be a movie that you're going to remember for the rest of your life.
Absolutely,
I promise you that.
All right, that sounds good with me. Then
I will get your address.
I'll come back on here. We can talk about
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know about this generation. I mean,
oh, stop! Leave the kid alone. Leave the kid. He likes the Mighty Ducks. Okay,
Speedy. I'll give you my.
He likes the Mighty Ducks.
I'm a big Goon guy.
What was that?
Goon, the movie Goon.
Oh, I love Goon.
Okay.
I love the movie Goon. Stifler was in it.
Yeah, Stifler. Right.
So it's worthwhile. If you guys didn't see Goon 1 or Goon 2, both of them are very, very good. I thought they were very funny movies. But as you guys know, we are talking to New York Rangers forward prospect Justin Richards. Now, Justin, if there was a particular player in the NHL right now that you can compare your skills to, who would it be?
Well, I mean, this kind of sucks. So every time I've been asked this question, I've always said the same player. But since he's doing so good in the playoffs right now, I kind of don't want to say him. But it's Joe Pavelski, I'd say. Mm-hmm. I've had conversations with my dad, and we've always talked about, like, if I was ever asked this question, who would I say, and things like that, and who he thinks I play like. And he told me Joe Pavelski as well. He had Joe Pavelski in San Jose when he was there as an assistant. That was back in 2009, I think. So Joe Pavelski, I don't know when he got into the league, but it was early in his career. I feel kind of bad saying that because Joe Pavelski's having a great playoff so far, and he's like the engine of the Dallas Stars, it seems like right now.
So, just be honest with us here. Who was your cup pick at the start of the year, and who is it now with the last 8 teams remaining?
Well, at the start of the year, I can't go against my dad's team, Tampa. But now,
say it. It's the Islanders. Say it.
Don't say it. You don't have to.
Really well, but I'd say Vegas.
Yeah, I picked Vegas too.
That's who Errol picked too.
Yeah, I picked Vegas too.
Yeah,
they're good. They're good. And Lerner is, ever since he went to the Islanders and he changed everything, he's been fantastic. He's been one of the best goaltenders. If you look at his numbers in the last 3 years, it's very hard to not say that Lerner has been one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. So it's been very impressive. Absolutely has been.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, I have 2 quick questions to ask you. They're crazy questions, but we ask a lot of crazy questions, and I know you got to go, and we don't want to keep you on too long, okay? Because you got a girlfriend. I seen your pictures on Instagram. Gotta go. You got to go back to your girl, man. So my first question is boxers or briefs, and why?
Boxers or briefs, and why?
Yes. Which one would you prefer to wear? And tell us why.
I guess I'd say boxers, because they're looser.
you have to give them some room over there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And my last question to ask you: your favorite snack to eat before a game?
Favorite snack to eat before a game? I always have a banana with peanut butter.
What is it with bananas and peanut butters with these guys? Yesterday, who we would talk to yesterday?
Sammy Davis.
We talked to Sammy Davis, the number 1 overall pick from the NWHL. She was on the show yesterday, and she told us she likes banana with peanut butter. What is it, a hockey thing? Is it a hockey?
I don't know. I've always just been told that it's a great pre-game thing to have. Apparently, it gives you a lot of energy and good protein. I don't know.
Justin, they're also my 2 favorite ice cream flavors.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Oh God, Justin, this guy. I mean, 2 Ranger guys. I mean, I'm getting restless here. I am. I'm getting restless here. Anyways, Justin, we would love to get you back on when the season starts. You seem like a great kid. Hopefully, in the future, you play for the Islanders, and I'll even be a bigger fan for you. Okay. Well, I'll be rooting you on. And when you come up here to New York, I promise you, when you come up here and they call you up, I would love to show you around New York. If you want to get to see the city and here in Long Island, because we're out here in Long Island, it's a lot different than the city. There's a lot of wineries. I think you and your girlfriend would love it out here. You would absolutely love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I'll definitely have to reach out to you sometime.
Absolutely.
If the season starts and I'm up here, then great. I'll have to reach out for sure.
Absolutely, and we'll get you on when the season starts. I believe you're a good kid, man. You have great genes. Your father, Todd, I've been following. Nice guy, absolutely nice guy. And say hello to the family, and we'll get you on soon, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell the fans how they can follow you on social media?
So on Instagram, it's justrich16. So JUSTRICH 16. That's Instagram and Twitter right there. So it's all the same.
Thank you, Justin, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend. Good luck on the season next year, and we'll be talking to you. We'll have our social media managers reach out to you. I'd love to get you back on again.
Yeah, awesome. I definitly love to.
Come on, say one time. Go Islanders. Say it.
Don't do it. Don't
say
do it, Justin.
Go Islanders.
Don't do it.
I'm not saying it.
Thank you.
Justin Richards, ladies and gentlemen. Great kid. Great kid. I did meet his father in New Jersey at an event a couple of years ago. Very, very nice guy. And he was the only nice guy at my table. I'll tell you that right now. All the coaches are just complete. I'm not going to say it on radio, but they were nice. That's for sure. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have our second guest in the next 15, 20 minutes. Mark and Speedy will get into a little bit of conversation with the NFL here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I am your co-host now for the short time while Errol had to step away, so I am your co-host, Mark Everett Kelly, here with Speedy P. And we're going to talk a little bit of NFL football now as we continue to listen to The Razor's Edge, Money Talks, one of my favorite albums of all time. We're going to talk about great guitarists.
Yeah.
Talking about Malcolm, one of my favorites. Eddie Van Halen, also one of my favorites. Joe Satriani, I love, one of my favorites. I saw Joe Satriani at the Beacon Theater, if you can believe it. I'm a little bit older than you, but Yeah, it was a snowstorm that night.
Only a little.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe about 20 years it got you by. You can't look it, though. I mean, I look younger, I would say. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so we mentioned talking about football. Buda Baker. It just sounds too much like Buda Belly. Doesn't
Okay.
it? It does.
Yeah, in a way.
When I hear Buda Baker, it's hard for me. Like Rutabaga, I think of a lot of things. I don't think of football. But, I mean, look, the guy's obviously one of the better safeties in the league. Graduated from the University of Washington, so he's a Pac-12 boy. The Cardinals today made him the highest paid safety, I believe. 4 years, $59 million.
Yeah, and $33.5 million guaranteed. Already added on to the end of his rookie contract, which he's making, I think $10 million on his rookie deal. He was a second-round pick, but I guess it was a backloaded contract with the Cardinals. I think at that time when they drafted him, having a lot of veteran players, so it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and coming out of Washington Pac-12, it's a passing.
They've had a lot of good DBs going.
Yeah, they have
lately. Yeah,
they have, and I think just the fact that he's gotten a lot of experience going against guys in the West, going against high potent offenses, whether it's the Rams or whether it's the Seahawks or the Niners last year. So he's always going to have a matchup, whether it's a tight end or somebody that he had to figure up against. And the Cardinals going back have had, I know they had Tyrann Mathieu. They took him. He was there a little while.
I wanted him for the Giants so badly in that draft, and now you can see why.
Now,
who was fantastic?
Who was the guy? Because I forget his name. The Jets drafted him. Kerry
Rhodes.
Kerry Rhodes. He went to Arizona
later,
and he did pretty well when they had Warner and when they were making the playoffs.
They've done well notoriously with defensive backs, both with corners and with
obviously
safeties.
Patrick Peterson.
Yeah,
so he joins a pretty.
Adrian Wilson was good.
Adrian
there
Wilson,
too,
absolutely, yeah. So he joins a pretty strong defensive. Well, he's in a pretty strong defensive backfield. But what do you think, Speedy? I mean, this kind of money. I had heard on the way in someone describing somebody as when you give a lot of money to a safety, it's kind of like you're needing a car and getting like a Hummer or something. Spending like a lot of money on something that's nice, but it's not. You could have better spent it in other areas. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the Cardinals are a young team, so we have to see where they're going. They're still going to have to pay DeAndre Hopkins because I think he only has 1 or 2 more years left, and he's been wanting a new contract now that all these other receivers have gotten big contracts. I like him as a player. I thought he was one of the better safeties in that draft class. Obviously, I didn't think he was Jamal Adams or Malik Hooker at the time, but I always thought he was a first-round talent, and he is a nice player. He's also a very good special teams player. I think he's been a Pro Bowler on special teams too. Fast guy, can cover really well, can cover man defense very well. He was important in that defense with Betcher when he was there, when Arians was still coaching as the head coach. So he's definitely a good player. Whether he's worth that $59 million, I'm not so sure, though. That's almost $15 million a year, and then you're adding on the signing bonus. And that's a little much to me because I don't think he's an elite safety. I think he's a good safety. He's a Pro Bowl caliber safety. Maybe he's a top 10. I don't think he's a top 5, and I think that's where you're pushing it. I don't mind them trying to pay him because, again, you already lost a lot of other defensive pieces. You were talking about Honey Badger. You're talking about Tony Jefferson, who went to the Ravens. They've lost a lot of defensive pieces, and they've made other guys work at times, but that's a young guy that you want to build that defense around. They already have a nice front seven, so they need somebody in that secondary, especially with not a lot of corner depth right now. They need a lot in that secondary. So I like the move to do it. I think it was too much money, though.
Well, you look at certain numbers for safety. So you don't want your safety to have a lot of tackles, obviously, because that usually means they're getting by your front seven, and that's not such a great idea. Right. Tackles for losses is something I look at. He has 18 tackles for loss for a safety. Not that bad. Most guys,
right, which is mostly later on because he wasn't really thought of as a run-stopping safety early in his career. He was just a really good speed coverage safety.
But no interceptions. And only 2.5, 3.5 sacks.
Which is weird, but again, he is a good coverage guy. He's just, again, I guess maybe not targeted as often, or maybe just drops interceptions all the time. I don't know. Because you think of that kind of thing as, all right, this guy's exclusively a box safety, which he's not. I mean, obviously, he's played in run defense roles since Buchanan left, and obviously Honey Badger went to the Chiefs last year too. So he's had to do that to some extent because of that, and also iffy linebacker play, but his game is still more coverage, which is very weird to think that. So it's always one of those deceiving stats is interceptions. There's a lot of deceiving defensive stats, and I guess that's one of them.
Well, a lot of people, I think, picked the Cardinals this year.
I did too.
I'm
as a wild card team.
Yeah, they're everybody's. A lot of people say they could be a sleeper. They like the way that they played last year, especially offensively. So, yeah, they made a couple big trades that you think.
I love their draft. I thought they had the best draft. So, yeah, Isaiah Simmons. They got a good tackle in the third round, who should have been probably a second-round pick, in Josh Jones. They improved that line. Obviously, they traded their second-round pick to get arguably the best receiver in football. So, judge that for what it is. So the other end of it that I brought up is, does this make the Jets look smart in trading Jamal Adams, knowing that Budda Baker got this much money?
Well, I think so, because you don't want to spend that much money on safety. And if Baker's going to get that money, imagine how much Adams is going to get, who's that considered better. I don't think there's much of a doubt that he's
right. Jamal Adams is a top 5 safety. I say Baker's like probably fringe top 10. So.
Right. But 4 years, $59 million for an extension. I mean, for a guy that has, doesn't. When I think of safeties, you want them to be guys that come up on the line of scrimmage and obviously stop the run. But you also want them to be playmakers. So you want them to get after the quarterback. You want them to cause a turnover. You want them to make the offensive coach do something different that they'll be forced to adjust to.
We're like playing musical chairs right now.
I was just going to say that. So Errol has returned for the last couple of minutes of this segment before we get our guest on.
What are we talking about?
So we were talking about how Budda Baker got paid as right now what is the highest paid safety in football. Mm-hmm. And the question I asked Mark is, how does this make the Jets look smarter in trading Jamal Adams now?
I think it makes them look like geniuses. If you look at what the Jets got for Jamal Adams, it was a king's ransom. And where the Jets are heading right now is they're rebuilding, and that's what they are trying to do. I think Joe Douglas is smart. If anybody has not seen Jets Drive, go check it out. The new episode comes out tonight at 8 p.m. It would be the 4th episode. I think they're going to be talking about Ashton Davis tonight. It's usually, I think the episodes are between 17 and 20 minutes. And it's great. It really is great content. And in the first episode, Joe Douglas gives you the reason why he decided to move along from Jamal Adams. One of the main reasons why is the leadership. I think he wants to build the team. And if you look at the structure of where they are right now, the New York Jets, look at the guys that the last 5 picks in the draft this year, they were all captains of their team. Mm-hmm. So they're rebuilding with leadership players that have been leaders in their college and high schools. And I think the way the Jets are moving towards is they want to make a sound locker room, something that the Jets have not had over the years. The problems with Eric Mangini's teams and Rex Ryan teams is there's no leadership. There was no team. There was more one guy, one leader, one reason. So
that's why a lot of those guys were free agent signings too. So it's not like you could grow together type thing.
I think where the Jets are at right now, I think they're in a better situation right now than I would say a lot of teams in the AFC. You look at right now the Chargers. They're trying to restructure their team now that Phillip Rivers is gone. And now Melvin Ingram might be out for a significant part of the season. You're talking about teams like Oakland still trying to figure out an identity.
I don't know what they're doing.
Well, they're playing well. They played well last year with the players that they have. They're trying to figure out their identity. We know what the Chiefs are. We know what Baltimore they are. We know what Denver is. Denver's trying to be a high, fast-pacing team. They have that kid Locke. They have Judy now. They've got weapons on the outside, something that they've lacked over the last couple of years. Really since Brendan Marshall. So this is a team. I think there are a couple of teams to really look out for this year, and the Jets could be one of those teams. If this offensive line is anywhere what everybody is saying that this offensive line is, and Mekhi Beckham is as good as everybody's saying that he is right now in training and really off-season workouts, the Jets could be a very structured and have a very good opportunity to possibly make the playoffs this year with the extra wild card team getting into the playoffs. So there's going to be 2 extra wild card teams making the playoffs, which is a significant amount, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's again something that's definitely interesting, especially in a division with a lot of parity, a lot of unknowns. Like I think the AFC East will end up being like a closer division. You're not going to have any standouts. You're not going to have any god awful teams. Like you could see other divisions being top heavy.
All right. Well, up next, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have our special guest. Speedy, who do we have?
We have at 7:15.
Well, 7:15. It is 7:15.
Yes, I know.
Coming up next,
we have.
You are terrible at a lead, man. I'll tell you that right now.
We are talking to Army.
He's learning.
We are talking to Army.
Learning.
Really?
He's lost.
Okay, I did it unexpectedly. Okay. So coming up next, we have Army.
Just so you guys know,
you're not going to let me get through it.
Just so you guys know, I'm actually wearing Adidas pants for the whole show. I was wearing my boxer briefs. Just so you know, Speedy wanted to see me in my boxers.
I did not.
He wanted to look at me in my boxers, ladies and gentlemen.
Lying.
I was wearing my Tommy Hilfiger boxers, and Speedy just, for some reason, was looking at my junk. I don't know.
I was not. That is
yes,
a lie.
He was.
Do not believe any of that, listeners.
He was looking at it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry that Speedy doesn't want to come out and tell you guys that I look good in my boxers. But nevertheless, up next we have a tight end, right, Speedy?
Yes, we do. We have Army tight end recruit,
Speaking of
Cade Anders.
Yeah, here.
Coming up next on Down to the Wire.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Remember, you can call us at 631-965-4990 and go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And you can download our app by going to the iOS store and putting in WWSRN or go to the Android store, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I am here. I am back in the seat. I am the graceful one. I do not have Speedy looking at my boxers anymore. I'm actually wearing pants. During the first half of the show, unfortunately, Speedy wanted to see me wearing my boxers on the radio show, so I obliged him. Unfortunately, it was a happy thought for him, not a happy thought for me. Speedy, you have nothing to say there?
Enough.
Well, by the way, I want to give a shout out to our last special guest, our New York Rangers forward prospect, Justin Richards, for coming on with us. Great kid. I do believe we'll see him in the NHL in the near future. Hopefully not for the New York Rangers. Anyways, we have a very special guest, and we were talking to a Navy guy about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, who's harassing me about his Dallas Stars. But now we have an Army guy. We have an Army guy that'll probably see Mr. Turner in the Army-Navy game at one time or another.
Maybe even covering him directly.
Absolutely. We are now talking to Army tight end recruit Cade Anders. What's going on, Cade?
Nothing much. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. You know, unfortunately, our boy over here, Speedy Petey, he has an infatuation of looking at my boxers, so I obliged him.
Don't listen to him, Cade.
Cade, I'm just trying to help him. I'm just trying to help him, man. I mean, I don't know what he likes to look at, but I guess he likes to look at guys in boxer briefs. Anyways, Cade, how are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
We're doing, we're getting through it. It's, it's out of our hands. It's nothing can't control it. It's, it's a part of life now, part of society. So, we're just trying our best to take it day by day until it gets out of here, hopefully. And, yeah.
Well, you know what they're doing here in Long Island? Well, they ran out of masks. So you know what women are doing now? They're buying guys' boxer briefs, okay? So, what they're doing is they're using it as masks. So Speedy wanted to see me in my boxer briefs. So he wanted to see if they actually fit around my legs so it could fit around somebody's face. I think Speedy wants to borrow one of my old boxer shorts and wear it on his face. So it's unfortunate, but, somebody's got to do it, and Speedy just likes looking at my wonderful legs. So there you go. Anyways, as you guys know, we are talking to Army tight end recruit Cade Anders. Cade, what was it like getting recruited by Army? When they came to your house and they sat down with you and your family, what really pushed you out of all the different schools that were looking at you? I'm sure there were quite a few of them. What made you decide to go to Army from all the other schools that were recruiting you?
Well, Army, it's, West Point's definitely it's different from every other school for sure. I looked at the opportunity that it sets me up for my life after football. And, that was a big thing to me when choosing where I wanted to go play. And, that was really the decision that led me to Army and made me fall in love with it, was just the opportunity that it holds for me after football.
So, again, was the decision to go to Army a primary thing when it comes to football? Was it your best offer? Because I was looking at some of your other offers, definitely some in the South, mostly Conference USA and Southland teams. But again, Army, obviously the big name team. But again, it involves also being in the military training. Was that something that you prioritize? And also, is it something that maybe runs in the family? You have a family history of the military?
Well, I at first, when this whole recruiting process started picking up, I wasn't really too aware of Army. I knew a little bit about it. I'd see the Army-Navy game come on TV. I just didn't know too much about it in depth. And when I started talking to them, I did my research, and I just figured out that it just had so much to offer for me, and that really sparked my interest. And from there on out, I just fell in love with them. And I'm glad they talked to me, because I didn't know much about them, but I'm glad I did. But on your other question, my cousin is a West Point graduate, and so when I found out more about him, I'd call him, talk to him about West Point in general, and he pretty much gave me the total perspective of West Point.
So, Cade, tell me a little bit about Tifton, Georgia.
I'm sorry,
Tell me a little bit about Tifton, Georgia, where you come from.
It's a pretty decent sized city. It's really far down south. We're about 2.5 hours south of Atlanta and about 45 minutes to an hour north of the Florida border. And it's down here in the south. It's hot. It's rainy. And but I love living here. It's awesome.
Now, is that SEC country? You're a University of Georgia fan?
Yes, sir. It is.
So, who are some of your favorite players that you've watched over the years? Are they tight ends, or is there other positions that you like?
Well, growing up, I never really played tight end until about my sophomore year. That's when I got moved to tight end. But before that, I love Todd Gurley. He's just a great. For Georgia fans, everybody loves him.
I know his agent. I'm actually friends with his agent. So I never got to meet Todd Gurley, but I know his agent, so that's a good thing.
But, as I started growing into the tight end position, I started picking up and watching, that position.
Where are you? Are you in your house? Are you outside your house? That's nice. That's a nice background.
What's going on with the service?
That's all right, man. So are you at your house? Are you inside? Are you outside? Where are you?
I'm in my house. I've never really had a big service issue.
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's all right, man. We're good. As you guys know, we are talking to Army tight end recruit Cade Anders. Now, Cade, when you look at the tight end position, there's a lot of great tight ends in the NFL. You've watched Gronkowski, Tony Gonzalez, who just retired a couple of years ago. You have so many different athletic tight ends that played other sports in high school and college. Was there any other sports that you played in high school that you were good at besides football?
Yes, I play basketball, and I also throw the shot put for the track and field team.
I could tell these tight ends that we've interviewed some of the best recruited tight ends in the nation. We've actually interviewed, I think, 4 or 5 of them in the top, I would say top 50 in the country that were just recruited and just picked their colleges. So tell us something different and unique about yourself that other players and other people don't know about you besides your family.
I believe I'm a great run blocker. My early years in high school, I didn't really get the ball, and I was mainly used as a blocker at the H-back position. I got a really tough O-line coach, so he pushed me hard in that run blocking, and so that's definitely what I think sets me apart, and something I take very serious is in the run blocking.
So you're entering now Army now, which the Army-Navy rivalry is definitely one of the more unique ones in college football and one of the oldest ones in college football. What do you know about that coming in, and where do you think it stands among those rivalries? Just being so much running, there's barely one pass a game type thing. Where do you think it stands among that, and what are you most looking forward to about it?
Oh, it's a great game. I think it's a top, if not the top or best rivalry in college football. Just along with the history and the clash of military academies. And it's just definitely a game that everyone loves to watch. It's a great culture and uniqueness to it. I usually always watch it every year with my family, and it's just something that we look forward to. Just the rivalry and just the culture of that game itself, I believe, sets it apart from every other rivalry game.
We are talking to Army tight end recruit Cade Anders. Now, Cade, I've been watching football since I was 5 years old, and a lot of these players are behemoths now. You're talking about some of these guys are like 6'8", 360 pounds that play college football and they go into the NFL. When you look at your size and your ability and what you can do, not only but as a blocker or a tight end in the open field, what stands out to you as a tight end now in the game going into college football from high school football? What stands out the most?
Well, like you said, the players now are getting bigger, faster, stronger. I'm pretty big myself, but I'm not as close to all these other people coming up. But I believe that I'm a competitor, and I know the game of football really well. My dad is actually my head coach, and he's been coaching in college for about the past 25 years. So I believe my football IQ just kind of sets me apart, as long as my competitiveness.
Now, I've asked all the tight end recruits we've had this question. Can you see in the future the tight end position surpassing the wide receiver position, whether it's college football, whether it's the NFL level? Can you see it surpassing the wide receiver position in terms of value or overall importance?
Well, I'd love to see that happen. It's tight ends are great athletes. They got to be able to do it all. But I definitely could see it happening. I watch these NFL teams like the 49ers, and they just the use of their tight ends and fullbacks, sets them apart from other offenses in their own way. But yeah, they're the best athletes on the field, so I could definitely see it happening.
Cade, are you a dancer?
I'm sorry?
Are you a dancer? Do you like to dance?
Did you say it?
Do you like to dance? Like boogie, boogie down to the Bronx. Yeah, dance.
No, I'm not. I'm not a dancer.
No, you're not a dancer. But we're doing this dance off with all these recruits, and I would love to put you against Turner.
No, oh yes,
I would love to put you against Turner, being that he's from Navy, he's a linebacker recruit, and you're a tight end recruit from Army. I think that would be funny. He's not much of a dancer, and either are you. That would be a funny matchup, and we're actually doing like this round robin playoff where we're going to have different recruits from different parts of the nation, different colleges to dance off against each other. You pick 3 of your favorite songs and you dance for like a minute and 20 seconds. And we kind of mix the videos together and we put them together and we see who wins. And we'll have a voting. And at the end of this whole competition, we'll have one winner and one big prize.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely embarrass myself.
So what? That's the whole point of this.
Errol thinks Patrick will too, apparently.
Patrick will too. I mean, I get harassed by Patrick every single day, okay? I get harassed by this guy. Ever since I told him that the Dallas Stars were going to get eliminated by the Calgary Flames, this guy has had it out for me. So he has been absolutely harassing me through text messages, telling me, oh, what do you think about my Dallas Stars now? We're up 2-0. Da, 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 da. So I love the kid. He is hilarious, and I think that you guys are good kids, and it's different because when you talk to kids that are like twice the size of you and you're like twice the age of them. I mean, I'm 38 years old. You're like 18 years old, and you're probably around 6'4", 225, 230 pounds. Am I right?
Yeah, that's about right.
You see that? So, and I look at you guys. You guys are behemoths right next to me, and I look at you guys, and I'm like, damn, why didn't I get that big? It's just, I mean, I was a good athlete too, but I'm not 6'4", 230 pounds. But nevertheless, when you look at the speed of the game and the transition from high school to college, what stands out the most from the rules from high school to college football?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a big jump from high school to college. growing up, I've always, been on the sideline watching college football games. My dad being a coach, definitely just when you make that jump to the next level, it's a tremendous change. So, everyone on the field is an athlete. Everyone on the field is good, and it really brings out the technique in each player. And but it is definitely much faster.
Do you think your talents stand out the most, that you're going to be able to prove it on the college field where you could play in the NFL in the future? Do you see yourself doing that?
I'd love to do that. That's always been a dream, but like they say in school, you always have a backup plan.
Of course.
I believe in that. The league, it's nothing, if you set that as a goal, nothing's guaranteed. You never know what could happen.
I like this kid, Speedy. I like this kid. I do. I like him. We got to get you in the dance competition. I'm sorry.
That's actually a good idea because we had it all.
I'm sorry.
We had it all position based at first, but now that we have a unique scenario of an Army-Navy rivalry, we have to do it like that.
We have to do this. We have to put you on this dance competition against Mr. Turner. It would be hilarious. Watching you two guys go at it against one another. Hey, you might become friends after this. You might become friends. I doubt it, but he'll be taking you on the football field. There he goes. Beat Navy. That's what he's wearing right now.
He came prepared.
I'm taking a picture of that. I'm sending that to Patrick. Tonight. I am absolutely sending that to Patrick. So just floss it right now. Floss it a little bit so I could show him. I love it. That's great. As you guys know, we are talking to Army tight end recruit Cade Anders. Well, Cade, before we let you go, we like to ask silly questions, and I'd like to know a silly answer from you. So are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Question number 1. Boxers or briefs, and why?
I'm going to have to go. I just like to have my airflow, I guess.
Oh, so you're a boxer guy, huh? Airflow. What's up with this today? We just asked Justin Richards. He said boxers. Usually it's been boxer briefs. Now all of a sudden these guys want airflow to their, their hanging noodles, Did you ever hear that, Speedy? Have you ever heard that, hanging noodles?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Well, somebody's got to go with it. Anyways, second question. Favorite snack to eat before a game?
Favorite snack to eat? Usually before every game, I always eat peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's not something I really enjoy, but I've always heard it's great for great snack.
Isn't that what Patrick said? Patrick said peanut butter. He said what are those peanut butter?
The Lunchables. You're right.
Yes, he did.
Uncrustables. Yeah.
The Uncrustables.
Yeah,
you see that? You guys have something in common.
So now they have to have a duel with that and with the dancing.
Yeah. Well, if you get Crustables and you can dance with them in your mouth, there you go. We got Devin Kirkwood, one of the top recruits in the country. He's going to dance around with gummy bears, flossing gummy bears in the air.
Who was the one that had to? Who you wanted me to have a potato skin eating competition with?
Who was that?
I'm trying to remember.
There's a lot of guys.
I want to say it was Carlton Lorenz, but I don't remember.
We've interviewed so many recruits.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm serious. We've probably interviewed 50 of the top 100 recruits in the country. And a lot of them give us some silly answers. So, anyways.
I'm pretty sure it was Lorenz. I don't remember, though.
Question number 3. Blondes or brunettes, and why?
I'm gonna have to go with blondes. I don't really know why, but it's just something about them, I guess.
Is it a Southern thing over there? Because a lot of Southern people like those blondes.
Yeah, I think it is a Southern thing. Dyeing their hair blonde just to fit in.
Really? They're dyeing their hair blonde just to fit in? Geez, if I move down there, do I have to dye my hair blonde to fit in?
I could not picture you like that.
No, you couldn't picture myself
blonde hair. I couldn't see you with blonde hair. I don't know what it is.
Well,
it would just look wrong. I don't know why.
I don't know, man. I have dyed my hair blonde. It was the only time I ever dyed my hair. I think I was 13 or 12 years old. I wanted to dye my hair like Slim Shady. I shaved my head, and I dyed it. And I hated it so much Cade. I hated it so much that I tried to re-dye it red, and it looked like a giant flame out of my hair. Okay? I was terrible. I was so embarrassed to go to school, too, man. I was a kid, and I was embarrassed. So, there you go. Okay, question number 4. If we were to hang Speedy up onto a tree, and you had the opportunity to hit him with any kind of item, would it be a baseball bat, a tennis racket, or throw a dart at him? What would you like to do with him?
I'd have to throw a dart. I'd have to test my and see how good I am.
Cade, you have all these military-grade weapons you're about to be able to work with, and you just choose a little dart?
Oh, man. Speedy. See, we get the recruits to attack you, too, man. It's great.
See, I don't mind. I don't mind it if they're creative with it.
That was creative.
He was.
He said he was going to use a dart because he wanted to
don't
practice
mind
his
if they're
aim.
creative with it.
I mean, he's going to the Army. He's going over there. He's going to be shooting guns, and he's got to work on his aim. So why not work on his aim with you with a dart? So
that'll be your test for missiles too. Eventually,
there you go. So was your father? Before we let you go, was your father and mother excited that you picked the Army, or did your father wanted you to go somewhere else?
I tried to ask my parents for help in this recruiting process, and they wouldn't help me at all. They left it up to me to make my own decision. And when I told them that I wanted to commit to Army, they were proud of me. They would have been probably the same amount of proud of me anywhere I went. But it's just, I guess, a parent thing to just be proud for a kid's decision, no matter what it is, if it's what they want.
I'm proud of you too, man. I'm proud of you too. You went the right way. If you want to take somebody to do your homework with you, we'll stick him in your luggage, and you can stick him under your bed, and he'll help you out. How's that sound, Cade?
I'm not 5'2".
Well, if worse comes to worse, we'll tie you up and we'll throw you in his bag. What do you think about that?
And I would probably suffocate in there. So I wouldn't be much help for his homework in that case. Unless you want to dissect my brain.
Cade, you always have his number. So if you ever need homework help, you can call Speedy. He'll help you out. I mean, he's probably good at social studies, right?
Yeah, actually, yes, that is one of my strengths. I always liked both history and geography. So, yeah.
So there you go. If you need some help with social studies or sociology, you can go to him. There you go.
Yeah. If I need it, I'll give you a call.
There you go, man. You got a friend.
Sociology, I only have a one-class sample size in college, so that one may be a little iffy on, but definitely other geography, history stuff.
Any music that you listen to over there that really stands out to you? Obviously, you're a country man. I know you're a country man.
Actually, I'm not really.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
What kind of music you listen to?
I try to listen to I listen to a lot of different genres of music.
Favorite artist? You have to have a favorite artist.
Oh, yeah, I'm more of a hip-hop fan than anything.
Really? You don't look like a hip-hop fan. Who's your favorite hip-hop artist? I can't wait to hear this. Don't tell me Lil Baby. I'll kill you.
He's probably my number 2.
Oh, my God. What is up with you guys? Every single recruit with this Lil Baby guy. Jeez, man. How many littles do we need in the rap game?
You got too many.
Too many, man. Lil Baby is your second guy. Who's your number 1 guy?
Lil Uzi Vert.
Oh, man.
Another Lil.
These little guys. I mean, little guys. I'm lost. So now, everybody is little Boozy, little Roozy, little Koozy, little Shoozy. How's that?
Lil used to be...
Lil Wayne.
Yeah, Lil used to be short for just Lily, the girl's name, and now you're going to see all these newborns being called Lil out of nowhere because of all
Why don't we
this.
call you a little something? Why don't we call you Little Speed? How's that? Little Speed.
Okay, so that would be me applicable to the current nickname.
Little Dart? Can we call you Little Dart? Little Dart. How's that sound? Little Dart?
I mean, most darts are little, so that would be applicable.
Applicable. See, he's good with vocabulary. He can help you with that, too. So if you need some writers, here you go, man. Mr. Vocabulary himself. Anyways, Cade, thank you for joining us, my friend. You were great. We'd definitely love to get you on when the football season does start. It's probably not going to start for you this year. It will probably start next year. We'd love to get you on again and talk a little bit about Army. And when the Army-Navy game comes on, I would love to get you and Turner on the show together before the game. That would be fun. That would be fun because you guys will get to know each other on the show, and then when you get to play each other, he's probably going to defend you. So because he's going to probably be the starting outside linebacker. So
yeah, you guys he'll end up blocking him for your team in that case.
You're both the same size.
Cover him, we'll have to see because of how many passes are thrown in that game. It's like 2 at the most.
You're both the same size. You're both 6'4", and you're both about 230. So you guys are practically the same size, and both of you have great personalities. So I think you guys would actually be good friends. I really do. I think you guys would. That's why I want you guys to. Cade, if I could get you versus Mr. Turner in a dance competition, would you think about it?
I'm sorry. I
If we could get you and Mr. Turner to have a dance off for our competition, would you think about it?
Yeah, I'll think about it.
All right. I'll go with that. Thinking about it is better than no. Okay?
Next thing we need to do is get one of the coaches on so we could actually tell them the direct relationship.
We should get both the coaches on from Army and Navy.
Yeah. Make sure the game plan involves these two matching up against each other at all times.
That would be funny as hell, man. Having both of them on and talking about Army and Navy football, and then having each and every one of their players pop in. Cade, thank you for joining us, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Cade, before we let you go, tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Twitter. It's at Cade Anders 1, and on Instagram, just at Cade Anders.
As you guys know, Cade needs all the help he can get with his Twitter and Instagram. The more, the merrier. Help him out. Come on. Friend him with the hundreds. All the women, all the guys. Download and follow Instagram and Twitter. And then first guy you follow is Cade Anders. How's that sound, Cade?
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Cade. Cade Anders, ladies and gentlemen, the Army recruit tight end. Nice kid. All the tight ends that we've interviewed, nice kids, man. Really, really nice. Yep. And they don't like you. They don't like you.
No, one of them did. The Oregon State one did.
Oh, well, yeah, he liked it.
JT Byrne, yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. JT was very, very nice, too. Very, very nice guy. Unfortunately, you screwed up that interview, didn't you?
I did.
Yes, you did. You're a little out there, Speedy. It's okay. It's okay. We're always on your side in some way or another, aren't we?
Sure.
Can I see that for a second over there? Thank you.
You could.
Thank you. Speedy, I did want to get into a little bit more. Oh, hold on. Hold on one second.
Is Patrick going to call us or something like that?
Anyways,
for some reason I thought Patrick was going to call like right at that moment or something.
Patrick did just text me.
Oh my God, really?
Patrick just did. He just texted me.
Oh jeez.
Patrick likes to harass me. Okay, he does. I love Patrick. He harasses the hell out of me. He really does.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
The fortunate thing is that both our teams are still in the playoffs, so there could quite possibly be a chance.
If that is a Stanley Cup matchup, oh my God!
Oh man,
he has to call the show. You guys just bicker the whole show.
No, we'll get him on the show for the whole show. Yep. We'll bicker about the Dallas Stars and the Islanders. That would be really, really funny show. Because Patrick has been harassing me since the day I told him that there's no way in hell that the Dallas Stars were going to eliminate Calgary. So I was wrong. So Patrick, you were right. So it's 1-0 you, but I still think the Islanders are going to go further.
Now the next test, they're already up 2-0, and it is mine and Mark's cup pick. So we'll see where that goes.
Big mistake for both of you.
And then the next round very much could be your cup pick.
That's
in
right,
Vegas.
Well, I don't think they're going to be. I do not believe that anybody's going to beat Vegas in the Western Conference. I do believe that there's an Eastern Conference team that can knock them off. I think Boston can knock off Vegas. And I think the Islanders, the way they're playing, they can knock off. I just don't believe in Tampa. No offense to Justin. And,
I think now that they got the one big thing off their back, they could definitely have
redemption thing.
They don't have a chance.
We'll see.
I mean, Redemption
They don't have a
redemption
chance.
is harder to get in pro sports than it is in pro sports, especially with hockey, than we've seen with college sports and also the NBA.
Are you ready for Mark's segment?
Is Mark ready for Mark's segment?
I'm ready for Mark's
All right. As you guys know, we do this every single Monday. But Mark, Mark's been going through a lot, and I'm happy that he's here on Tuesday. We call this segment "Mark It Up."
This is Mark It Up.
Did you guys see the Dallas and Clipper game on Sunday?
Yeah, I did.
How Luka Doncic played.
Luka Doncic is a special player. We've been talking about him for a very long time. I am upset about it because the Knicks had an opportunity to move up and get him. Instead, Dallas did that. And if they moved up to get Doncic, I think Kristaps Porzingis would still be a Knick. That's what I believe. But
speaking of the Knicks, how did they get the number 8 pick?
Well, we talked about this on the Weekend Crunch with Eric Coleman. The Knicks are completely screwed by the NBA. I think the lottery is a complete hoax. I think the NBA can't stand the New York Knicks in the organization. They want James Dolan to sell the team. I don't care what Adam Silver says because Adam Silver is full of you know what. I think he's I think he's the best commissioner in professional sports. But if he can't honestly tell me the truth that this is what's the best word for this?
This is definitely fixed in some way.
I believe the lottery is fixed.
Yeah.
I do. How does Golden State, the Golden State Warriors, who one season, this is the best team, this has been the best team in the NBA for the last 7 years, how do they have one bad season because of injury and they have the number 2 pick in the draft?
Right.
How do they have that?
They don't need the help.
They don't need the help, but they have the number 2 pick. But the New York Knicks can't get in the top 2 in the last 30 years.
I know. I don't get it.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. This is a team. We were talking about it. Do you know the Knicks have been a bad team for the last 30 years, and the Knicks have been only in the top 3 one time? One time.
Oh, as far as drafting? Yeah.
In drafting. One time.
That was last year?
Last year.
Yeah.
R.J. Barrett.
Yeah.
One time.
Does
that make sense?
It's amazing.
Does that make sense?
No,
it doesn't make
not
sense. It doesn't make sense.
It's too large of a sample.
They had the second worst record in the league, and they get 8th.
It's terrible. The Knicks had the 5th worst record in the league, and they had the 8th. They have the 8th. And the chances of that happening, I think it was like 60%.
Yeah. Well, every day the Kristaps Porzingis trade looks worse and worse.
I don't think so. I still think that's going to be a good trade.
I thought it was good at the time.
I still think it's a good trade.
At the time, I thought they might have thought it was good because of what they were getting back, but with Porzingis,
you weren't going to get it. You weren't keeping him. He wasn't staying.
Then I got a real big problem because
he wasn't.
He was a unique type of athlete, a guy his size and his ability. I think he would have done well. I think he did do well, but trading him and getting the guys that they got back, you never know. These two look like they're going to be in the league for a long time together.
They are, but I don't think they're ever going to win. I don't think they have enough to win.
I think it's a good start with the both of them. They're both young. They're both 25.
You got to overpay both of them, and you both of those guys after their contracts. Doncic is still under his rookie contract in about a year or two. Doncic is going to be expecting a huge amount of money. This guy's an all team first team NBA player. He's going to demand about $250 million.
Yeah, Cuban.
And Kristaps, it doesn't matter. Remember, there's a salary cap.
I know.
And Kristaps Porzingis is getting 150, 160 for the next 4 years. To me, you're not going to be able to add a third superstar to that team.
You build around your superstars.
You're not going to win with those superstars. I don't think they can win with them.
I think those two are pretty good. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if they can beat the Clippers.
They're not beating the Clippers.
But the game on Sunday was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
you had Donovan, this is his first 4 playoff games, and 43 points that game. He only had 13 in Game 3, but Porzingis had a good game in that game. He scored 34 points. So the two of them can kind of pick each other. I like the two of them together. I thought that was, what else?
Two crybabies. They're two crybabies. I can't stand watching them.
So I do think, though, that
I think Doncic's special, but
for a 7 seed, that's going to be. I'm excited to see how the rest of that series plays out.
I'll tell you how it's going to play out. 4-3 Clippers, and they will eliminate the Dallas Stars. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay,
you would want them to eliminate the Dallas Stars.
Get off the hockey here.
I'm getting off the Dallas team.
The rest of it, the rest of the NBA playoffs, you saw the Lakers kind of come out a little bit flat, and they seem to have picked up. Even yesterday, they just absolutely manhandled Portland.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Portland would give them more problems. Utah, after they lose Game 1 with a 57-point effort by Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
You want to talk about a special player.
Yeah.
That's a special player.
But they're deep too, and they can score. So and
he's nowhere same. Remember, Donovan Mitchell is 6'3". You're talking about Luka Doncic, who's 6'10".
No. I'm not talking about the two of them.
No, I'm just saying when you look at Doncic and how special Doncic is, he's a 6'10". Big man that plays the point guard and shooting guard position. You're talking about Donovan Mitchell, who's 6'3", and he's dominating the game he's a smaller guy.
Right, well, him and Lillard are like guys like that who can dominate.
Donovan Mitchell's a special player.
Yeah,
he is a special player. Grew up a Knicks fan too. I could see the Knicks making a trade and trying to bring in Donovan Mitchell because him and Rudy Gobert do not get along. Anybody that doesn't know the story. And Rudy Gobert is the player that they want to build their team around. They don't want to build around Donovan Mitchell. A matter of fact, a couple of, this past trading deadline, there were stories coming out that Utah was trying to move him. So Donovan Mitchell is a guy that a lot of teams would be interested in, Knicks being one of them. He grew up in New Jersey. He's from this area. I wouldn't be surprised if Donovan Mitchell is a name that comes out after the season. I do.
Well, I just think that series started off with Denver winning Game 1, and it looked like, scored 57 points. It was like third, fourth highest in NBA playoff history, and they didn't win. But they've really dominated the last couple games. They're winning again right now, and they can eliminate Denver. I thought Denver was better. Denver certainly got some good players. They're very versatile, but the West is kind of wide open. And if the Clippers, God forbid, for them, if they get knocked off by Dallas, you would think the Lakers would pretty much have a clear run to the finals, because it looks like when the Lakers need to get serious, they do. When LeBron needs to get serious, he does. Davis needs to get serious, he does. So I still think they're pretty much the team to beat. But you got a lot of teams out west that can really score and play exciting basketball. This has been fun kind of to watch this a little bit.
I think I could see the Jazz beating the Clippers, too, if that's the matchup, because the Jazz have looked really good, and you're right, they do have the depth. And the Clippers really haven't looked like themselves yet, especially defensively.
I'm not worried about them.
I'm not
worried about them.
You notice how they're scoring. I mean, this is like watching a game in the mid-'80s. This is like watching Doug Moen and Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
So every game is pretty much, except for yesterday's Pacers and Heat game. Those two kind of played.
I don't know what's going on with the Pacers. Man.
Well, I mean, they had injuries. Sabonis was injured, so.
But they've looked bad. Miami's killing them.
Well, Miami swept them.
Yeah,
So,
I know Miami is killing them. So I understand they swept them, but I say killing them because the fact that I thought the Indiana Pacers and the Miami series was going to be a very close series. I thought it was going to go all the way to maybe a Game 6, Game 7. I didn't think Miami. I picked Indiana to win that.
I think it would have been if they didn't have their two of the best players injured. So injuries matter or not. I remember when Reggie Miller got injured one year for the Pacers, three games they're out. So it does. I think matchups are everything in the NBA. So now they get Miami
Celtics.
No, they get Milwaukee.
They get Milwaukee. Yeah.
They get Milwaukee.
Celtics and played Toronto.
Yeah. And the Celtics look really good. I mean, you heard a lot about Philadelphia. They lost last year on a heartbreaking shot. For them, at least.
Finally fired their damn coach. It's terrible.
But they should have. More was expected out of them. They had an injury, too.
Their coach is terrible. Their
coach has been
terrible. He was horrendous. The fact that he kept his job for 7 years with the 76ers, with all the players they have, he stinks.
They don't have it now.
He was terrible.
He should have been fired last year, too. Even though they took the Raptors to 7 games, look how many bad offensive dubs
Who do you think they bring in to fill in that spot? You could bring in a lot of guys.
I think Kenny Atkinson's perfect for them,
Yeah, he would be.
I actually said that a while ago. I think Atkinson is the best guy for a team like the Sixers that is mostly young.
Yeah, but I thought they would show more fight. They didn't. And
I have a feeling it's Jason Kidd.
Could be.
That wouldn't surprise me.
But they have really disappointed me the way they played. The Celtics, though, they're really versatile, too. I mean, all these teams now have 5, 6 guys that can shoot from the outside. They all move the ball around pretty big. They all have a big man that can put the ball on the floor and shoot from outside. But I still think the Bucks are the best team in the East. But the Celtics can give them problems. I don't see the Heat giving them that much of a problem.
I do.
They could.
I do. I think the matchup, it variates to them because of the size that they have, or the advantage that they have at the guard position. I think that Miami, with the small and the speed that they have on the inside and the out, I think they're going to cause a lot of problems, and they can defend too.
Yeah, they can defend.
They can keep, if they keep Giannis on the outside, Giannis is going to have problems. You saw what Toronto did against them. That's the script to beating Milwaukee. Keep Giannis on the outside and make him beat you on the outside.
They got some good big men to do that,
and they could do that.
So that's a team that interests me. How do you think Toronto? Do you think Toronto can possibly.
No, they're not beating the Celtics.
I could see it because I think
they're not beating the Celtics.
Their defense has been really good in the postseason, and the Celtics, even though they've been good in the playoffs, they've also had some dud offensive games too throughout their playoff history.
They're a better all-around team.
They are, but I think Toronto, with the way their coaching is, it definitely is a shot. I think the Celtics will win too, but I think it could go.
It's going to be
seven.
it's going to be the Celtics and Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I picked the Celtics. I think the Celtics are a better team. I think the Celtics are the best team in the East. They've been the best team in the East all season long. Kemba Walker has completely transitioned that team and made that team a lot better. Leadership over there in the locker room, and you're seeing a star being born in Jason Tatum. So.
I don't know if the Heat can score with Milwaukee, but
they can.
I think they can force him into more bad shots, but I just don't think they could. I don't think anybody can stop.
You got Butler and Hero. It's great backcourt guys. I mean, Butler's not an amazing shooter, but he's a good shooter, and Hero's been a very good shooter. And then they have depth too that I think they could work with. I don't think it's as good as Milwaukee's depth, but it's definitely there.
Who's got the better coach?
That's close. I'm going to go Milwaukee, but that's really close.
Yeah, well, no, I think Brad Stevens is better.
I think I meant of Milwaukee and Miami.
Milwaukee and Miami.
Okay.
I think it's Miami. I think it's Miami. Miami has the better coach. Miami is a guy that won 3 championships. So I'm going with him. So, and he's a Pat Riley disciple. Yeah. So I'm going to take Miami. Miami's better coached. And as good as, what's his name again from? Budenholzer, who comes from the Popovich tree.
Mm-hmm. What do you hear about Popovich and the Nets? I heard that might be a possibility.
No. They're interested in him. They're going to have to give up a lot.
Yeah, that's going to have to be some kind of.
Just think about this. The Nets are going to. They're probably going to have to give up, just like they did with the Celtics. They're going to have to give up 2 or 3 first-round draft picks to get Popovich. There is no way they're just going to hand Popovich to the Nets. You know what I mean? Oh, here you go. Go ahead and try to win a championship in the East because they bring in Greg Popovich. Because if Greg Popovich comes into place, they're going to try to bring in a third option. And Bradley Beal is a guy that everybody's been talking about. Bradley Beal. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, that's what they would do because they're expected to win next year, and that's what they're going to do.
All right, real quick, we talked about hockey. We both know how we mentioned the Islanders are really 5-on-5 is where they're really dominating, even strength play. Getting to baseball, if this season ended today, Mets would be in the playoffs. I mean, that just shows you how wrong things are with baseball. So that's all I really got to say about that.
Well, just remember, when you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
Exactly.
So,
and that shouldn't be.
But anything can happen, and I could see the Yankees getting eliminated in the first round because
Oakland's going to get eliminated.
I don't like the way that the number one teams can pick who they want to play.
Well, they would play Toronto. Well,
no, they get to pick.
They get to pick? Any of them? Anybody?
Each team in their divisions that make the playoffs get to pick who they play in the first, second, and third round.
Number 1 in each league.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they might not get number 1, the Yankees.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying the Yankees.
So you're saying in that
case...
Who
cares?
You're saying,
I hope they don't.
So you're saying in that case the underdog would have even more of a chip on their shoulder?
Yes.
And they would knock off the 1 seed?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, they wanted to play us. Well, we'll show them.
I could see it happening.
All I know is I would pick the Mets if I was in the National League. Especially if I was the Braves. I would be like, I want you.
I don't know if the Braves are a 1 seed right now, though.
No, the Dodgers would be, yeah.
They've got to get their pitching going.
There was a trade. Pittsburgh received Kapanen, Podota Berg, and Jesper Lindgren for Toronto's 15th overall pick. Evan Rodriguez, Philippe Hollander, and
I love you with these names.
Wasowski.
These hockey names are hard.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh acquires Kasperi Kapanen.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
More offensive depth, just what the Penguins need.
Well,
Anton Williams. Anton Carter.
Don't you think Toronto needs defense? I mean,
Toronto, yes.
We all know.
What the hell is Toronto doing?
I don't know.
I have no idea what Toronto's doing. It makes
and I hope they keep losing.
They are going to lose.
I hope
they are. How are they going to win with that defense? They're terrible. They're horrendous.
They need a goaltender too.
They're going to have to trade John Tavares. That's what they're going to have to do. If they think John Tavares is the secret to their success, John Tavares, if you look at his numbers in the last 2 years in the playoffs, John Tavares has had 3 points in 9 games. 3 points.
I think he only had 1 goal in the whole series against Columbus this year.
3 points in 9 games.
It would have. You know what? There's a part of me though that would have wanted the Islanders to beat them in the playoffs.
It'll happen.
I
It'll
mean,
happen.
to see them shove it back.
The Islanders are better than Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's
They're
why
a better
I wanted
team.
to see. That's why I wanted
a better
to see.
team.
And to beat them up. And
the Islanders have a lot of great farm hands that are coming up, and you're going to get an opportunity to see. Noah Dobson being one of them. Bodie Wild is a guy. They have that Salo kid. They have the Russian kid that went back to Kiefer Bellows. Wallstrom, and they have now Sorokin, who's one of the best young prospects in the NHL. So the Islanders have stuff to look forward to, and they're in the playoffs still. And where's Toronto? So what does that tell you?
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely, man. Happy to have you. Anyways, that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back for Below the Mic. And next week is September, right? Mm-hmm. It is September.
Well, not Monday, but yeah,
not Monday, but now from now on, Tuesdays and Thursdays, our show, as far as Down to the Wire and Below the Mic, will be at 10:30.
The old Below the Mic time slot.
Yeah, they will be at 10:30 at night.
10:30 to 12:30?
10:30 to 12:30.
Wow.
Yes, it will be a late night show with me and Speedy Petey. Hopefully, Speedy will learn how to wear his underwear on the right side, not the wrong side, right, Speedy?
But you guys will come on at 9:30, where I'm going to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll be on at 9:30, so you'll have the opportunity to see us. We're going to
never
miss you, man. We're going to miss you, but you're going to come up and visit, I hope.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'll be up here.
You have a place to stay whenever you come up
you.
and visit, man.
Thank you.
So, as you know, and you and Sammy.
Yeah.
You and Sammy.
I don't know if Sammy's making it, but yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Whenever Sammy goes, but I know he's your
He's my buddy.
Your steed,
Yep.
So, anyways, we will be back on Thursday. We have a great show lined up for you. Speedy, who do we have?
We have 6:30. We have Vegas Golden Knights goaltending prospect Dylan Ferguson,
another hockey prospect.
And at 7:15, we have another punter recruit, Stanford punter recruit Connor Wesselman.
Interesting. We love it. Yeah. We love these recruits, and they have a lot of. And we've interviewed a couple of punters too.
Yeah,
so.
this is our third punter now. So, maybe we have to do a three-way TikTok
Good job, Jillian
dance
and
off.
Ricky. You guys.
Jillian's great.
Awesome.
Jillian's killing it right now. Shout out to Jillian and Ricky and Dante. Dante's killing it too. He's helping us out too. So Dante away. Anyways, that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, you can call us 631-965-4990. And I don't know what's going on with Jeff. I reached out to Jeff yesterday. I said, what's going on with you? I haven't heard from you. And he says, I'm busy. I'm working on something. What the hell are you working on? The swimming pool in your backyard, you idiot? Anyways.
He's working on a whole presentation of how the Yankees cheated.
That's another thing. How wonderful. Anyways, happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. We will talk to you on Thursday. Until then, this is Errol Marks, Speedy Petey, and Mr. Kelly saying good night, and we'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.